Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Even after their separate splits, Janelle and Christine Brown continue to criticize how their ex-husband Kody Brown handled their hobbies. In an exclusive preview of Sister Wives Season 3 provided by Us Weekly, Janelle, 56, reveals, Kody attacked all of his wives that are leaving in the area that hurts them the most or that they pride themselves on or that they value, according to a one-on-one special that aired on Sunday, June 8th. Because he knew it would irritate her, she notes that Kody, 56, was always telling everybody that I was somehow calling the shots on the money in her case. In the video, Janelle says, I'm one of those people who wants to be very fiscally responsible and very about, let's be responsible with our money. So he wants to try to undermine that for me, or kind of undermine that. After over 30 years of spiritual unity, Janelle and Kody broke up in December 2022. She continues, it's crazy to me that he was telling everyone that I was in charge. Fans discovered that the Brown family had conflicting accounts of how their joint funds were being saved and spent during Sister Wives Season 19. Since Janelle was responsible for keeping track of their expenses and forwarding them to an accountant, Kody asserted that she was in charge. If such were the case, they would have paid off and built a house on their Coyote Pass property in Arizona long before Janelle left the patriarch, she claimed in a November 2024 episode. In a January edition of the TLC series, Mary Brown, who announced her separation from Kody in January 2023, said that despite having paid equally for their Flagstaff property purchase, she was granted a lesser piece because she only has one child with Kody, Leon. Kody has a total of 18 children. In the episode, Mary, 54, said, I don't know if they don't remember, when our funds were all together, and those family funds that I helped with went to the kids' college, went to property. It affected everything. Our family had a fund. Christine, who ended their relationship in November 2021, claims that Kody knew it would be hurtful to place financial burden on Janelle. Christine, 53, claims in an exclusive sneak peek with us that he was knocking her down so she doesn't feel smart with finances. That is impolite. He is aware of which buttons to press. Regarding Christine's personal problems with Kody, it was said that he took advantage of her need for closeness. In the video, Janelle states, for Christine, it was devastating that he wasn't physically attracted to her, which Christine later admits is true. With me, it was no, we're not going to be intimate anymore, remembers Christine. Well, you could do this and you could do this, he would then say, and blame everyone else for it. He is skilled at pushing buttons, but she asserts that he lacks the maturity to accept responsibility for his actions. So, he knows what your weaknesses are? Questions one-on-one host Sukanya Krishnan. Yeah, says Christine. Isn't that so sad? He turns them against you, too. He was aware of my greatest desire, which would have been a close, romantic marriage and relationship. Fans of Sister Wives have criticized Robyn Brown's parenting style with her children, but it appears that Kody Brown might also receive some of the same indulgence. Sukanya Krishnan's criticism of Kody's actions during the most recent one-on-one program was well received by fans. The audience liked it when she urged this 56-year-old grandfather to stop acting like a baby. Sister Wives, fans are shocked at Kody Brown's baby act. Kody Brown did something strange when he didn't want to respond to some awkward questions from Sister Wives presenter Suki. He pretended to be a child who found his actions endearing. Kody put his finger in front of his mouth, flipped his head up, and crossed his legs. He assured Suki he wouldn't respond if he didn't want to after striking that position. Supporters could practically see a 5-year-old child growing inside of this adult. His appearance was deemed absurd by Sister Wives fans. The analysis, however, followed, with some admirers coming up with an intriguing notion while others speculated on how he got to this position. Robyn Brown's parenting approach with her children was one of the first things that people jumped on. They also believed that Robyn might exhibit some of the same coddling behavior toward Kody at home. Hovers, Robyn Brown. All 3 of the original Sister Wives mothers raised their children in a similar way. They were far more relaxed than Robyn, even if they each had their own methods. They have talked about this throughout the seasons. Robyn characterizes her parenting style as being extremely protective of her children. Though they adopted a to each his own stance, the other women felt that it was a touch excessive. However, Robyn was referred to by Sister Wives fans as a helicopter mom and someone who overindulges in her children's needs. Sister Wives: does Robyn consider Kody to be her child? In addition to applauding Suki for her childish remark to Kody, Sister Wives viewers believe they understand why he is responding in such a manner. Since Kody acknowledges that he needs to be the center of attention, you can only imagine how Robyn must feel at home when her children divert her attention. Remember that he used to have 4 wives who were devoted to him, but now he just has one. On the show, we witnessed Robyn spoiling Kody. She is removing hair while he speaks into the camera in a recent scenario. The feature shot up top captures that moment. It is comparable to a mother adjusting hair on her child's head. It seemed strange that Kody didn't consider it. Fans conclude that he is accustomed to it as a result. According to Sister Wives followers, Robyn's extravagant parenting style extends beyond her children. They believe Kody participates in the scheme as well, intruding and demanding Robyn's attention, particularly when she is occupied with one of her 5 children. It was enlightening to watch Kody adopt the demeanor of a young child and then have Suki call him out on it. At one point, this man was proud of his efforts to be a strong man for his wives and children. For some supporters, it was unsettling to see him act like a youngster again. His outbursts on Sister Wives are unavoidable, though. Therefore, you cannot claim that this is the first instance of his infantile behavior. However, it's possible that Suki brought out his secret kid in unexpected ways. Or, as supporters speculate, Robyn raised the little kid in Kody Brown, and we now get to witness the fruits of her labor. Did he have to do it for the entire world to watch on the TLC series, though? On the TLC show Sister Wives, Kody Brown's polygamous household has been slowly falling apart. When Kody proposed taking a 4th wife, Robyn, into consideration, his relationship with his first 3 wives, Meri Brown, Christine Brown, and Janelle Brown, became tense. The show followed the Brown family as the 4 women bravely tried to share the family patriarch, who pushed himself to the limit trying to spend equal time with his wife, without succumbing to the temptation of favoritism. Meri, Christine, and Janelle, who gradually started to observe their shared husband's fondness for his most recent wife, claim that he did, nevertheless, play favorites. Kody and Robyn were left in a monogamous relationship after resentments eventually boiled over and caused 3 wives to split from their once shared spouse. As the one-on-one episodes of season 19 come to an end, Robyn has become bitter that her name keeps coming up in the talk, and the women continue to blame Robyn for the strife in their relationship with Kody. The women's wrath should be directed at the person who is actually to fault for the series of separations, even though they cannot agree on who among them is to blame for the relationship's turmoil. It's evident from the way Meri, Christine, and Janelle spoke about their marriages ending with Kody that they believe he gave up on them before the ladies made the decision to leave. Since Kody had deserted his marriage, Meri requested a spiritual release from him, which is their church's equivalent of a divorce. This confirmed what the women had been stating, which was that Kody had not divided his time fairly among his numerous marriages, but had instead been entirely preoccupied with Robyn and their kids. The first wife to formally depart was Christine, who declared in November 2021 that she was ending her 26-year marriage to Kody. Janelle would follow in Christine's footsteps about a year later, though her break was less tidy than Christine's because she and Meri were still embroiled in a land dispute with Kody. Meri left soon after Christine and Janelle did, and all 3 of the first spouses insisted that Kody had failed to fulfill his responsibilities as a husband before they made the decision to end the marriage. The one-on-one interviews, which usually offer more context for particular scenes from the season, have been annoying viewers as season 19 draws to a conclusion. Viewers have accused Robyn and Kody of avoiding inquiries and denying any responsibility for the family's marital breakdown. Since he has been obstinate in his refusal to patch things up with his children from his first 3 marriages, Kody in particular has come under heavy fire. Throughout season 19, Robin repeatedly sidesteps questions posed by host Sukanya Krishnan in the first 2 one-on-one shows. However, people have taken notice of her response to one alleged snub from Janelle. Robin was once described by Janelle as the sacred cow who was receiving all of Kody's attention. Robin tried to just by sarcastically saying moo, but then she laughed and said, "I don't know," when Sukanya asked how she felt about the remark. "In any case, I don't give a damn." Although it's unclear whether Janelle intended for the remark to be insulting to Robin, given that she was pointing out how Kody put Robin first, it appears to have hurt. Despite Janelle's explicit statement that she no longer enjoyed Robin and Kody's company, this comment exemplifies a recurring issue with the sister wives. The women become preoccupied with blaming one another when Kody is actually at fault. In the one-on-ones, the wives said that, according to their religion, the husband has an obligation to keep up a connection with each wife and to deal with any breakdowns. The obvious cause of the family strife is Kody's decision to put his relationship with Robin first, and Robin and Kody's inability to accept this truth is the reason he keeps avoiding accountability while their future on the show is in question. Janelle Brown sat with her back straight, voice steady but fierce, her eyes glinting with something between heartbreak and justice as she looked directly into the camera and said the words that would reverberate across the Brown family legacy forever. He knew exactly where to strike, and he didn't hold back. The silence that followed was deafening as viewers leaned forward, breathless, knowing this wasn't just another moment of reflection. This was the truth, raw, unfiltered, and almost too painful to hear. Christine Brown, seated beside her, nodded solemnly. She didn't need to say anything just yet. The look on her face was a novel of betrayal, heartbreak, and disbelief all on its own. Together, they were no longer the supportive sister wives rallying behind a shared faith and a complicated man. They were survivors of emotional warfare. And the battleground? Their hearts. Their children. Their deepest insecurities. Because, according to both Janelle and Christine, Kody Brown had weaponized everything he knew about them. Their doubts, their weaknesses, their motherly guilt, even their financial fears, and used those weapons as part of a twisted campaign of retaliation after their relationships with him collapsed. He didn't just let go. Christine finally spoke, her voice trembling but defiant. He lashed out. He wanted us to feel punished. And he didn't stop until he found the things that would hurt us the most. Her words hung in the air like smoke from a fire that had been burning quietly for far too long. Janelle reached for her hand, nodding. When I left, it wasn't just the end of a spiritual marriage. It was the beginning of Kody waging a quiet war on my peace. And the worst part? He used our kids to do it. And with that, the floodgates opened. Janelle detailed how she'd felt the shift almost immediately after her separation from Kody. A once cold but functioning co-parenting relationship suddenly turned into passive-aggressive texts, icy silences, and sharp, calculated remarks. He told me, flat out, that I failed at keeping the family together, she said, her voice thick with emotion. He said I was tearing our kids apart by choosing independence. And then he turned around and stopped checking in on them. Just stopped. The betrayal wasn't just abandonment. It was the twist of a knife. Christine chimed in, voice brittle. He told me I was selfish, that I'd corrupted the family, that by walking away, I was destroying the legacy we had built. But he never asked why I left, never tried to understand. And then came the most gut-wrenching admission of all. He knew how much I struggled with guilt. Guilt about how the kids saw our relationship. Guilt about whether I waited too long to leave. And he used that. Every time he spoke to the media, every time he appeared on camera, it was this narrative of Christine giving up and tearing the family apart. And he said it not to explain, but to punish me. Both women spoke at length about the pattern they now recognized as psychological warfare. Kody, they claimed, never raised his voice, never got physically aggressive, but his tools were more insidious. He questioned their worth. He belittled their faith. He cast doubt on their capabilities as mothers. And above all, he subtly, and sometimes overtly, tried to turn their children against them. He weaponized loyalty, Janelle said flatly. He wanted the kids to pick sides, and he made sure they knew which side they'd suffer on if they didn't choose him. The tears she'd held back began to fall then. As she recounted the moment, she realized one of her sons had been deeply hurt by the silence from Kody. He waited for his father to call. He kept his phone with him for days. Then weeks. Then he just stopped waiting. Christine's voice was low and razor-sharp. He always knew my weak spot was truly. He knew how hard I fought to shield her from the dysfunction. But when I told him I was leaving, he made that goodbye about him. He cried to her. He guilt-tripped her. Not once did he ask me how I planned to help her transition. He just wanted her to feel sorry for him. The reunion episode footage they referred to rolled on screen in flashbacks. Kody red-faced, defensive, claiming he'd been betrayed and abandoned, claiming that Christine and Janelle had no right to say he didn't try hard enough. But now, with the clarity of time and distance, the women were pointing to what they said had been obvious all along. Kody didn't just grieve the end of his marriages. He retaliated. And, perhaps the most painful target? Their dreams. He knew I wanted to build on Coyote Pass, Janelle said, holding back a sob. He knew I had been planning that future for years. He knew I was emotionally and financially invested. And then, when I left, he suddenly changed everything. Started redrawing lines. Started making decisions behind my back. That land wasn't just property. It was my hope for stability after years of living in transition. And he knew that. That's why he took it from me. Christine nodded furiously. It's the same with me. He knew how hard I worked to feel valued in the family. How many years I pushed my own needs aside to keep the peace. And when I found my voice and finally said, I deserve better, he didn't take a step back. He came swinging. Not with his hands, but with shame, with guilt, with manipulation. Both women agreed that leaving Kody wasn't just emotionally difficult. It triggered an entire campaign of subtle attacks meant to break them emotionally and spiritually. He stopped being my husband long before I left, Christine admitted. But what shocked me the most was that he stopped being a father the minute I didn't serve his version of the family anymore. Janelle's voice was quieter now, more contemplative as she added, He didn't want a family. He wanted loyalty. He wanted control. And when he lost that, he tried to make sure we'd pay the price. The most chilling moment came when Christine recalled a private conversation Kody once had with her during their unraveling, a moment she hadn't shared publicly until now. He told me, You'll regret this. You think you're walking away clean, but this will haunt you. Her voice broke. And for a while it did. I second-guessed everything. I wondered if I'd hurt the kids. If I was the villain. But now, I see it for what it was. He wanted me to carry the guilt, so he wouldn't have to. The conversation turned to healing, but even that was complicated. We're rebuilding, Janelle said. We're doing therapy. We're talking openly with the kids. But the damage he caused, it echoes. You don't just erase those scars. You learn to live around them. Christine added, We're finding peace, slowly. We've found love again. In ourselves, in our children, in new relationships. But what he did, the emotional sabotage, that doesn't go away. It just becomes part of the story. And perhaps the most powerful part of that story now is this. They're telling it. Out loud. On their terms. Without fear. We were silent for too long, Janelle said. We protected him for too long. But not anymore. Christine agreed. The truth isn't vindictive. It's healing. And the truth is, Kody Brown didn't just let his marriages fall apart. He pulled them apart. Piece by piece. With words. With silence. With manipulation. And with pain. They didn't say it for revenge. They said it for closure. For strength. For every woman who ever loved a man who turned her vulnerability into a target. For every child who wondered why Dad changed after the cameras stopped rolling. And for themselves, Janelle and Christine, no longer just exes, no longer just sister wives, but warriors of truth, finally standing in the light. Because he knew it would irritate her, she notes that Kody, 56, was always telling everybody that I was somehow calling the shots on the money in her case. In the video, Janelle says, I'm one of those people who wants to be very fiscally responsible and very about, let's be responsible with our money. So he wants to try to undermine that for me, or kind of undermine that. After over 30 years of spiritual unity, Janelle and Kody broke up in December 2022. She continues, "It's crazy to me that he was telling everyone that I was in charge." Fans discovered that the Brown family had conflicting accounts of how their joint funds were being saved and spent during Sister Wives Season 19. Since Janelle was responsible for keeping track of their expenses and forwarding them to an accountant, Kody asserted that she was in charge. If such were the case, they would have paid off and built a house on their Coyote Pass property in Arizona long before Janelle left the patriarch, she claimed in a November 2024 episode.